Yes.
All right, we have a special guest, a great guest,
One of my
a guy
favorite
that
people.
has, been at. He was a great player, Hall of Famer, champion, and guarded the GOAT. I'll call him the GOAT, just about as well as anybody. And also stepped into the front office after that and was just as good there. And as Rob and I like to say, look, he led a team that didn't have that super duper star to a championship. One of only two teams maybe in the last 30 years or so.
When you talk
Detroit
about
Pistons.
Seattle, yeah, absolutely. That
Detroit
2004
Pistons and Seattle Supersonics. Yep.
team is as special as it gets and was put together by no one other than Mr. Joe Dumars. Welcome to the Odd Couple, Joe D.
Hey guys, what's up? What's up, Rob? What's up, Chris? How you guys
We're
doing?
great, man. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Of course, man. I go way back with both of you guys, man. So happy for your success. Happy for your show. It's just awesome, man. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you so much.
We
means a lot.
it.
You know it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I assume you've been watching The Last Dance like just about everybody else in the sports world.
Yes.
And yesterday you guys played a huge role, the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
Were you surprised? I mean, they still obviously have a lot of, it seems like, hatred for you guys. Were you surprised that Horace Grant, Michael Jordan, and a lot of these other Bulls still feel that way, 20 some odd years later, 30 years later?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised. I didn't know, where those guys stood on that stuff. But I wouldn't say surprised. These were some incredible battles. I think as people are getting to see, this was as intense in professional sports as you could possibly get. I think you can go down the annals of history, and I don't know if you're going to get much more intense than these series were. And this wasn't a one-time thing. As Mike said in the documentary yesterday, we were playing each other 6 times a year during that time, and
Right.
so you play a team 6 times a year, and then you get into a 7-game series with them. You're talking about playing possibly 13 times against each other, and so that brings about a whole lot of real tension. And we weren't playing for the 7th and 8th seed. We were playing to go to the NBA Finals. So,
Right.
I think you add all those things together, man, and the proximity of those two cities. You guys know. I mean, you guys lived in the Midwest before, so Detroit, Chicago, that's close. And so put all those things together and some real competitive people, and I think you get what you're seeing right now in the documentary.
Joe, you, of course, matched up with Michael Jordan, was credited as one of the few guys who could slow him down. Nobody could stop him or make him at least earn everything. What do you take away from the time that you spent playing against him, getting to know him a little bit, whatever it was? What was it about Michael Jordan that was different from other people? What did you take from him?
I think what people are really seeing now is just the incredible focus and competitive spirit he brought to the court every night. He was as competitive, super competitive as anyone. But you add incredible physical gifts with that type of intensity and focus and competitive nature. You add those things together. What he was doing physically was just so gifted, just so special on the court. And then, he had that drive to go along with it. That's what separated him. There were some guys who were competitive, but they didn't have his gift. There were some guys that were gifted, didn't have his competitive streak. He had it all. And so there were no holes that you could attack with him on the court or off. You weren't going to beat him mentally. You weren't going to just beat him physically. And so, he provided a handful, man. He was a handful, on all those nights, man. He was a handful.
Joe, one of the big storylines from last night, of course, was, when they finally beat you guys in 91. And, Isaiah and Bill Laimbeer, they walked off the court past, Jordan and the Bulls without shaking hands. Now, you and John Sally shook the hands of the Bulls players. Tell me about that decision. I don't know if it was a team-wide thing where we're not going to shake hands and you two guys decided to do it, or tell me about everything that went down and what was your thought process?
I'm not sure, how it came about. I heard Isaiah say Lamb said something to him about maybe walking off. So when everybody started walking, said, okay, we're out, that's all I heard. I said, okay, we're leaving. And it was only, I don't know how many seconds on the clock. So we were like, okay, we're out. So when we were walking by, it never even dawned on me not to shake their hand. Listen, the 3 previous years, this guy we had beaten them, and we had ended their season. And I can just tell you, every single time that we eliminated them, Mike found me, shook my hand, just whispered, man, tough battle, great battles, Joe, man, good luck in the finals. So, when we were walking off, I saw him, I stopped, said the exact same thing to him, like, man, tough battles, man, good luck in the finals, bro. And that was it. I mean, we went on. So, at the time, it's a really big deal now and since then, but at that moment, it really wasn't a big deal in terms of just walking and stopping and shaking their hands. Like, some guys are going to shake, some guys not going to shake hands. And, that's each person's decision what they want to do. But for me, man, me and this guy was battling, man. And so, and he shook my hand every time, and I could see he was devastated every single time we beat them. When we eliminated them, their season was over. You're looking at it, dude, man, you're both sweating, you've been battling, you've been fighting that whole time, and then, he comes and says, hey, man, good luck in the finals, Joe D, man. And so, hell, I'm a grown man. I'm going to say the same thing to him, man. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't beefing with him with that. Nothing but respect,
There's some that have written, even, I know you guys know Terry Foster, the Detroit columnist, longtime Detroit columnist. He wrote today that, people didn't tell the whole story. Like last night in the documentary, that the day before Game 4, Jordan had said, the Pistons are undeserving champions and they're bad for basketball. And that played a role in why some of the players, at least, were very upset and didn't shake their hands. Were you aware of that quote by Jordan? And did that, really incense a lot of guys and maybe lead to what they did?
I definitely was aware of the quote. I remember reading the quote. And like I said, man, when you are in those battles, Chris, you have to man up in those battles. And so I had no issue with Isaiah and whoever else wasn't going to shake hands. And I understood that. I understood where they were coming from. No one ever said a word to me, though, about, hey, why'd you stop shaking his hand? Like, no one asked me that either. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You do you, I do me. And, I love you, I respect you. And, yeah, I tried to comment today before, Chris. But, Chris, man, I think you guys know. Come on, man. You guys know what's up. It was a different league back then. And, there's some grown men back then. And dudes were going to say what they were going to say. And you weren't going to be really sensitive to the point where, you react like a child. Like you're going to do what a man's going to do. And so those guys, my teammates, were men. And they said, we're walking off, man. And so I respected that. They respected me.
Joe, our guest, Joe Dumars, of course, NBA Hall of Famer, joining us here on The Odd Couple, Chris Broussard, Rob Parker. But, Joe, the Isaiah-Michael Jordan feud is there. You could see it in Michael Jordan's tone when they said what Isaiah had said. He was already, spitting fire. You know what I mean? He didn't want to hear it. He was real. This is 30 years later. He's still hot.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Nobody seems to be able to talk about really what the angst or what it is that these two guys really have a beef with, especially Michael Jordan. And I'm just going to lay a couple things out. I'm not putting it in your mouth. But obviously, Isaiah didn't make the dream team. And if you remember, Magic was his best friend. Chuck Daly was the coach, and the general manager was the Pistons. I just forgot his name.
Jack
GM
McCloskey.
Jack
Yep.
McCloskey, right? So that was that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was always the talk that Isaiah was trying to, or was the one who said that they should freeze Jordan out in the All-Star game or whatever. What is it between those two, or do you even know, or how intense is it between those two even after all these years? Are you surprised? I know it's a mouthful.
So so just for the audience out there, like, I know these two guys I'm on the phone with right now, Chris and Rob. These some good dudes. They know me, right? So these some good cats, and I love these guys. These guys know, though. I've had conversations with both of you guys before. I couldn't even begin to tell you if there was any other beef beyond the basketball stuff. If it's some stuff beyond that, it's beyond me, fellas. And I never even got in that lane with that kind of stuff. Like,
Right.
Like, dude, if it's something with you guys, man, whatever. I got to defend this guy for 48 minutes. I'm not tripping on nothing else. So if I knew something, guys, I would tell you. But I don't know of any other beef other than, for me, it was just how intense this was, and the stakes were so high. I mean, like I said, we weren't playing to see who was going to get out of the first round every year. We knew we were going to see those guys at the beginning of June, end of May.
Yep.
And so, when the stakes are that high, guys, there really doesn't need to be anything else.
But Joe, were you surprised, though? My only thing is, were you surprised last night just the way Jordan responded to the – obviously, Isaiah's in it. He was being interviewed for it. You know what I mean? So he knew. And that has to go in, but his reaction is what got me. If it was on the court, you guys haven't played in 25 years, right? Do you know what I mean? That's the part that I didn't get.
I know what you're saying. Listen, I'm sitting here at my place here in L.A., and guys, I'm watching it. Me and my son are watching it, right? And it happens. I'm looking at him. He looks at me. I'm laughing. I'm going, hell, I don't know. It's like, dude, I don't know. He and I started laughing. I was just like laughing, looking at him like, oh, okay. And I'm listening to him last night. I'm listening to Cartwright, and I'm listening to
Horace Grant
and all the guys, and I was like, wow, those guys are really mad, man. So, damn, okay,
Joe, we've seen, and Rob and I, we both say Jordan's the GOAT. We've seen Isaiah and
doesn't
Bill
mean
Laimbeer.
that LeBron's not a great player.
Right. We think he's second, but Bill Laimbeer and Isaiah have said he's not the GOAT. And we always chuckle at it and say, well, of course they're not going to say, they're not going to give him those props. Where do you have a GOAT who you think is the GOAT? Is it Jordan? Is it somebody else?
Like, I'm gonna give you the exact answer for this. I've had a million people talk to me about this, and I'll give you the exact answer I give everybody. Look, the greatest player I ever played against, without a doubt, is Mike. But I understand this generation, like, they didn't see Mike, and so LeBron is their guy. But I don't even really have a GOAT. I can just tell you the greatest guy that I stepped across that line with was Mike. Now, I never stepped across the line with LeBron. So, for these guys, hey, I get it, man. But I don't even get caught up into, like, oh, no, he's the greatest. I can just tell you who's the best dude that I had to strap up against was Mike, without a doubt, man.
There it is.
I agree. And there's somebody who had to play him, guard him. You weren't just on the court. You had to be in his jock. I mean, if anybody's going to know, that's why – so great to have you on the show, especially, right after the documentary and the Pistons had a big role in it. One last thing for me, the Dennis Rodman transformation. Joe, you were there when Rodman was the country bumpkin who showed up to Detroit, naive about everything, turned into a wedding dress wearing mascara. I mean, could you believe what he started as and where he finished up at?
Well, I mean, we've all seen it, guys. We've all seen it. Like, I knew Rod when he, like you say, my first year there, my second year there was Rodman's first year there. So I was there, and the next year Rodman came the year after I did. And so we were teammates for a while there. And so you're right, man. He was, no tat, no earrings, no nothing when he first got there. And, he transformed into what we see today. I will say this, though, about him, and I think you heard some other people say it through this documentary, at least I think so. Good dude, man. This is not like, people see him, and I don't know if they think he's like just this jerk, this just, guy that's like a bad dude or something. Like, he's not that, man. Dude is not that at all, man. Like, this dude is a good soul. Love Rod to death, man. Love playing with him. He's a good soul, man. And if he was a really, really super bad guy, just thinking about what you saw last night with Phil and them, and hey, he needs 48 hours to get away.
Right.
He comes back, man. They know they can count on this guy, man. And so that's the one thing I'll say about him. Like, he transformed into whoever he is today, but I think I don't want to get lost with this guy. He's a good dude, man. Really, really good dude.
Joe, great stuff, man. We appreciate your time, and we thank you for it, and be safe with your family, man.
Yeah, okay, Chris, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, Robbie, man. You guys, I'm happy for you guys. Best of luck with this, man.
No doubt. And Joe D, one of these days, we want to get you in the studio in L.A. Come out, hang out with us for an hour.
Where's the studio at, Rob?
It's in Sherman Oaks, right off the 405. Okay, right. And you know what?
We'll get
Joe,
you
we
on
can
the
talk
hot
about
seat,
anything.
Joe.
You know that. We can talk about any sport. Joe is a big baseball fan, too.
Good.
We'll get you on the hot seat.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
All right, it's the odd couple, Chris and Rob, and we just got done with the great Joe Dumars. And
that was some good stuff, man.
That really was. I mean, that's a guy that was right there in the battles and a straight shooter too.
Right. And he's on that Bad Boys team, but Joe is classy. Joe is going to shake hands, Chris. I'm sorry. I don't care what Lambeer, Isaiah, whatever. You know it, right? He wasn't raised that way.
Like he said, it was every man for himself. And, they did what they wanted to do, and he did what he wanted to do. And, that was great. That was great. Rob, I know I've seen you tweet and put stuff on Instagram about how you think that Jordan, through this documentary, is winning over a whole new, I'm not even going to say a whole new legion of fans, because obviously anybody that's into basketball, even if they're 10 years old,
right. they know about Michael Jordan.
Right, and they respect him. But you think he's winning over a whole new legion of people who are going to say he's the GOAT? Because we know a lot of the young people want to say LeBron.
No doubt about it. I just think, Chris, is one thing about watching stuff on YouTube, and it's another to get some background and in context, and just see if you watched Michael Jordan go into the lane against the Pistons and what he had to go through. Seriously, this ain't where they allowed hand checking. No, they allowed you to be decapitated.
Right.
Do you know, like those weren't flagrant fouls, Chris? Those
now
were
it was just get up. Now we'd have a 10-minute video, we got to look at it.
We got to debate if we're throwing him out the game, right?
Right.
And all that. And there was no special treatment. Michael Jordan didn't get special treatment. No, he did not. We hear about superstar calls all the time, right? Dude, he was beat up. Not only the Pistons, the Knicks did it too.
Yep.
I mean, he really got worked over. So I think if you watch all the other stuff, watch what he had to go through, watch what he had to go through to try to win. In 7 years of not winning and people saying he wasn't Chris, he got
criticized.
He got criticized. Yep. It ain't just, they only hate on LeBron. People said Michael Jordan's just a dunker. He doesn't make anybody better. He'll never win, Chris. That's what they said.
That's absolutely
Am I right? It's not.
That's absolutely. Oh, he's got the come fly with me videos. He's got the nice sneakers. But Magic and Bird are the winners. That's what they said. There's no question about it. And I'm with you. And Rob, I believe this. And I'm firmly convinced of this now. I think if Michael Jordan were playing today, he would average 40 points a game. I really believe that. And that's no slight on today's game, because I'm not one of those that thinks, these players aren't. I think the players are more athletic. They shoot it better, and they handle the ball better than ever. Okay, so I'm not shooting down this era. But I'm saying, you said it. Michael Jordan attacked the lane relentlessly.
Yes.
When you would get hammered, and he kept going back again and again. Now, you and I, Rob, have sat at NBA games this season, last season, and marveled at how easy it is to get into the lane because teams run you off the three-point line. So it's easy to get in the mid-range, where Jordan is arguably the best mid-range shooter of all time, because they rather you take that mid-range shot than the three. And if you take it all the way to the rim, then there's very little resistance, certainly compared to his day. So he would have been scoring at will in the paint, in the mid-range. And then if he would have practiced the three-pointer just like everybody else.
Right.
And he
if it was available and it was a part of the game.
Yeah.
And that's
he
what
would
you're
have
talking
been an
about.
above average three-point. And I say about LeBron or Kyrie or whoever, if they played in that era, they would adapt to the physical play. So I think LeBron would be finishing great back then, and he'd adapt to, I know I'm going to get hammered.
Because that was the
great
game.
ones do that.
Yes.
Right. So Jordan would have been an above average three-point shooter. And I'm convinced, Rob, no hand checking, no hammering guys in the lane. He'd average 40.
I don't disagree at all because, when you can't touch somebody and it's a foul, he would just go to the free throw and make shots all night.
Right. And like you said, guys, they get into the mid-range and turn the shot down because it's viewed as a bad shot, on a lot of teams. And so, and I think he'd average 40, and I think he'd win. I think he'd win championships. Heck, he averaged 37 in this league when he didn't shoot threes. He didn't even shoot one three-pointer game when he averaged 37 points.
Which is crazy.
He got hammered, going to the line, to the rim. So, yeah, I had to get that out, and I agree with you. I think that I've never seen anything, and I know a lot of this, Rob, is the pandemic. We're all of us are starving for sports content.
Right. This is all we got. This is all we got.
Right. But still, I've never seen, it's like he's captivated the whole sports world again. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really must feel like 1997 to him all over again.
No doubt about it. It is and has been. This is what I said from the start, Chris. I really believe people will look at him in a different light, and it won't turn people off. It'll just enhance that legendary story about this guy, and you really see what he went through. Did you see him crying with that championship? Did you like I know a lot of guys have, but you know how much he wanted it, and he stayed the course, didn't flee Chicago, didn't want to go team up with anybody, just like the Bulls were a legendary bad, Chris, and he just worked his way through it and had to get through these teams, the Celtics and the Pistons, and finally win a championship. And you could see it, the hard work, dedication all paid off.